This is the AI Weekly Briefing for February 11 to 17, and we are ready for some fascinating news on some recent AI developments. So there's a big global summit in India, some major shifts in the market, particularly concerning massive infrastructure investments by leading tech companies, which is a story I'm continuing to cover with great interest. And I'll highlight also some technological advancements and the emerging economic and regulatory challenges. So let's begin. So starting out with Professor Michael Wooldridge, an AI prof at Oxford University, issued a stark warning regarding the current state of AI development. He cautions that intense commercial pressure is forcing companies to prioritize profits over safety, resulting in vulnerable AI systems with easily bypassed guardrails. So this creates a significant risk, according to him, of a catastrophic public failure. Wooldridge draws a parallel to the 1937 Hindenburg disaster, suggesting that a single AI incident could permanently erode global trust and potentially bring the entire AI era to an abrupt end, much like the Hindenburg disaster halted the age of hydrogen airships. So as an aside, if you've seen my last couple of news videos, you know that I like to insert a little joke now and then, whether or not it's funny. Here I decided not to joke about the Hindenburg nor about the potential for catastrophic AI failure. I'm just afraid the joke may not land well. The India AI Impact Summit 2026 is the big conference for the week, featuring over 500 events and 840 exhibitors. Somewhere I heard there would be about 3,250 speakers at the event, but maybe that's just AI hallucinating. Besides Google's Sundar Pichai and Microsoft's Brad Smith, over 40 major company CEOs. Sorry for the rest of the guys. I only mentioned 2 CEOs, but there are a lot of major company CEOs, important people, even if I don't personally mention them. Of course, Prime Minister Modi himself, who is there and has outlined a bold vision for India to become a top 3 global AI superpower by 2047. The strategy emphasizes AI for public interest, focusing on leveraging artificial intelligence to address societal needs. I was just stuck up on that 2047. I think you guys could really go for it. Maybe 2046. Actually, that's 30 years plus 1. Sorry, 20 years plus 1. So you can do it in 18 years, I'm sure. We'll be watching that. So unlike summits focusing on commercial applications, the India Summit focuses heavily on public purpose AI, specifically for healthcare, ethics, and agricultural sustainability. Some of the key initiatives coming out of this event include using smartphone-based AI for diagnosing crop diseases in agriculture. And oh, wow, I have a friend who's doing exactly that. Sorry, he's self-funded. And deploying AI for early detection of tuberculosis and heart conditions for healthcare apps, and I hope I don't need that. We really do hope that public purpose AI will improve the lives of citizens and position India as a top 3 AI leader by 2047. A massive financial story is unfolding as the big 4, in this case, Google, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft, finalized their 2026 capital spending plans. The combined $650 billion in investment in AI data centers and chips represents the largest infrastructure build-out in history. So I covered this a little bit last week, and like last week, the market's reaction is a bit mixed. Tech stocks across the S&P 500 and NASDAQ saw significant volatility as investors began to question whether the returns on these astronomical investments will materialize in the near term. Some analysts have noted a shift towards AI selectivity, where investors are no longer rewarding every company that mentions AI. Shoot, I'm too late. But instead focusing on those showing an actual ROI. By the way, the combined $650 billion spend is larger than the entire GDP of Sweden, actually. I know it's not quite the same comparing GDP with investment, nor is it quite fair to compare Sweden with AI infrastructure. But what they're spending this on, much of the money is flowing into proprietary chips like Google's Trillium TPU and Amazon's Trainium 2 and uranium-powered nuclear power to solve the energy wall, apparently, and massive GPU clusters. So also to me for presenting the weekly AI news. But investors are cooling a bit on tech stocks because the massive capex is drawing free cash flow into negative territory for some of these companies. So Wall Street is now demanding to see ROI rather than just innovation. Following the release of Claude Opus 4.6, which I also covered last week, and GPT 5.3 Codex, also covered in the past month, this week saw a surge in agentic tools, which we defined as AI that doesn't just chat, but actually executes multi-step workflows. That's not a joke, that's actually what it does. On February 11, Kimi introduced Agent Swarm, a system designed to act as an AI CEO that manages sub-agents such as researchers, analysts, and fact-checkers to complete projects which are both complex and involve many working parts, and to complete these projects autonomously. And I understand the CEO app is also programmed to have psychopathic tendencies. It can also autonomously execute up to 1,500 tool calls and achieves a 4.5 speed increase through parallel processing. The Chinese developed GLM-5 model, which was developed by Zhipu AI, with 754 billion parameters, whatever that means, is open sourced on Hugging Face, which is interestingly an American development community. It features a mixture of experts architecture designed for complex long horizon agentic tasks and coding, aiming to compete with models like Opus 4.5 and GPT-5. So the development also highlights a growing trend where high performance open source models are breaking the monopoly held by US-based giants in this area. And I understand this app also has psychopathic tendencies, but with Chinese characteristics. GLM-5 has a very interesting capability and apparently has reduced hallucinations using a new reinforcement learning architecture called SLIME. So I found this one quite interesting. And as it turns out, SLIME is, quote, an asynchronous reinforcement learning infrastructure which improves reliability by allowing independent training trajectory generation, reducing the 90% hallucination rate of previous models to 34%, close quote. And I'm curious about the details here, but for now, let's just say the system is not designed for complex agentic tasks, aiming to make AI more reliable for real-world enterprise applications, like making YouTube videos. Representing a shift from monitoring to active legal enforcement, governments are increasing their scrutiny over AI misuse. In the UK, an extension of online safety laws will hold AI developers legally accountable for jailbreak incidences where safety protocols are bypassed. This move, announced by Keir Starmer, focuses on enhancing transparency and controllability. So, meanwhile, in Spain, which has launched a landmark criminal investigation into platforms like Meta, X, and TikTok, targeting the proliferation of AI-generated illegal content. Of course, much of this regulatory heat follows reports of Grok AI being used to generate non-consensual explicit imagery. So once again, as we see, it only takes one bad apple to spoil the bunch, but as we know, it was all somehow inevitably going to happen. So let's deal with this problem as soon as we can. So just to sum things up a little bit from the news of the past few weeks and well, overall trend of the past year, we can see that not yet having general artificial intelligence, what companies are doing is focusing on specialized practical solutions. So the focus is moving to industry-specific agentic systems designed for tasks like manufacturing automation and legal compliance. And of course, all this puts a premium on precision, reliability, and most importantly, measurable outcomes over pure tech ambition. So when it comes to replacing my job, now they're getting serious. So with that, not a very happy ending for today, but I wish you all well in your AI journey ahead, as well as your reskilling and job search. So see you next week, I hope.